Dr. Simpkins, how are you this morning, sir?
Fine. It's a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us. Before we get into our conversation, if we might take just a couple of seconds, and Erin's going to run down your rather impressive civil rights resume.
It's too long to get into. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Very early on, he was involved in the creation and the first board of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He was one of the in fact, you were the very first African-American to run for a public office in our community. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Ran for the school board. You were very active in the civil rights movement. I don't want to go through your whole history. What does today mean to you, sir?
A day that we're very happy to be alive, and America's jumping and still functioning. They thought we would destroy it, but it's still alive and doing a lot better.
What are your personal recollections of Dr. King?
Been a very wonderful person, very charismatic, very kind. He's always laughing, making jokes, even though there's a lot of difficulty. But he could laugh through it and still learn that people had a purpose.
You just said something very interesting. You said he made a lot of jokes. He was always laughing despite the situation. What do you think? What do you think was the source? In fact, I'll make this a two-pronged question. What was the source of Dr. King's strength? And through those times, what was the source of your strength?
He believed in the love of people, that God is a God of love. He loved all people. There's no difference in color or race. And no matter how a person treated him, he would forgive them. And forgiveness meant it never happened. He wouldn't say that, I'll forgive you this time, and if you do it again, I'll be against you. But forgiveness means that it never happened. And he loved people, all people.
Dr. Simpkins, we still have a long way to go, correct? And
not as long as before.
What kind of steps do we need to take? What needs to still be done to make sure that we have civil rights for all?
We need to learn how to care about each other, learn how to love each other. That's the theme of love.
You went through the turmoil. Some of the things that happened to you, I know your home was burned. You had incidents with police. Can you describe some of that?
Well, it's a long story. Where did we start? My home was bombed. Dead rats and dead rabbits thrown in my yard. Bullet holes through my car. Bomb placed in my car. Crosses burned on my lawn. My lake house was burned and bombed one day and then burned the next day. My malpractice insurance was canceled. So everything happened.
So you spoke earlier. You spoke of forgiveness. How do you do that?
If you believe in any type of religion, you believe in God. God is a God of forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you're on probation. Like if you had a difficulty with your wife and she says, "I forgive you. If you do it again, I'm going to divorce you." That's not forgiveness. You're on probation. Forgiveness means it never happened. You start from there.
What would Dr. King say about the nature of our world today if he were still with us? What would he say today?
I think he'd be busy trying to rally the people again to march on Washington, to get them to do something worthwhile. People still hungry, still without housing, still a bad situation. So the march on Washington would be something he would do.
Dr. Simpkins, we spoke earlier this morning in the 7 o'clock hour with Mayor Ollie Tyler. And one of the questions I asked her was, as an 18-year-old, I guess she graduated high school just about 1963. And I said, as an 18-year-old high school kid growing up in those extremely turbulent and troubling times, did it ever cross anyone's mind that someday that Shreveport would have, well, she's the mayor of Shreveport, but not the first black mayor. As you look at the world today, did you in 1960, 62, 65 ever think that a day like today would come?
Yes. This is the day that we worked for. A certain day like this would come. The other wonderful day is still to come.
During your remaining years here, and I assume your health is fine, how are you doing?
At 90 years, I'm doing very well.
Wow, that's incredible. Before you pass on to the greater God, What else would you like to see happen in your lifetime?
So people learn to care for each other. And once we do that, we could make this country be what it should be. We're just too wrapped up in ourselves, too suspicious, too doubtful, not believe it, not trust it.